Hello, my name is Josh Devers, and in this video I'll be giving an overview of how we use the AutoCAD software in our Hort 120 class to recreate a master garden plan. Model space is where the drawing is done to design the project. We used various tools to design this project, including the line, polyline, circle, arc, and hatch tool. The line tool is used to draw various objects of all different shapes and sizes. The polyline tool is like the line tool in function, but when the finished object is completed, the whole thing can be selected rather than each individual line segment. The polyline tool is useful when designing complex spaces because only one selection must be made as opposed to selecting each individual line segment. The circle tool is used to create all the plant material in the project. Various sized circles represent different sized trees and shrubs. The three-point arc was used to create all the curvilinear lines, including the proposed front walkway, fire pit area, and mulch bed lines. The three-point arc is used by selecting the first point, estimating the middle point, and then finishing the arc with the placement of the third point. The arcs are not always perfect, but can be edited later on. The hatch tool is used to put a hatch pattern in enclosed spaces. This is used in the proposed front walkway where a herringbone paver pattern was put in. Additionally, we used modifying tools including the trim, move, rotate, and copy tools. The trim tool snips off extra line segments that were extended beyond the drawn object. The move tool selects objects and moves them. This was helpful when putting the shrubs in to help center them. The rotate tool is used to rotate objects to their desired orientation. The copy tool is an efficient way to insert multiples of the same object. Another helpful tool was the grip edits that are on each object that can be adjusted to make small modifications to an object. This was especially helpful in making smooth arcs. The template is the base layer of the drawing, which is imported from the internet. This layer can be locked in place to prevent it from moving around while drawing. The template is helpful because it gives us a starting point to trace from rather than making up our own design as we go. The template would not always be used for a custom design, but for the purpose of this class, it gives us a model to follow along with. The scale tools were useful in making sure we are drawing in a 1:1 scale. This is important because in model space, it is easier to work with real-world measurements rather than converting everything to the printed scale. The drawing was scaled using architectural units to keep it consistent with the real-world measurements. The background image was scaled by drawing a reference line of a known distance and scaling the rest of the drawing around that. The reference point in this design was the doorway, which had a distance of 3 feet. After the line is set to the right distance, the rest of the drawing scales proportionally and can be checked with the measure tool. This tool was also used to scale the imported blocks that represented various pieces of furniture. Layers keep the drawing organized by separating each different type of object group by color. This keeps everything organized because each individual layer can be turned on and off if needed to help with drawing. At the start of the drawing, each layer is named and given a designated color. While drawing, it is important to watch what layer you are drawing on. The object can be moved from layer to layer if it is not drawn on the proper one, but it is good to start out on the correct layer. Layers can also be locked in place like what was done with the background image so it does not move. A unique feature of AutoCAD is toggling the layers off so they do not print but are still shown in the drawing. This was done with the viewport layer. Blocks are a group of lines bound together as one object and move as one piece. They have to be downloaded from the internet from a source compatible with AutoCAD and imported into the drawing. Much like the background image, the blocks had to be scaled to the proper size. Once imported, a few of the blocks are rotated using the rotate tool to adjust them all to the right orientation. Blocks give a sense of scale to the drawing because they are typically everyday objects that a person can relate to. Paper space was the last step of the drawing and is where the drawing is scaled to be printed. The drawing is scaled using the viewport to keep the model inside of the print margins. The drawing was first centered using the scale to fit function and then set to the scale of 1/16 of an inch equals 1 foot. After the drawing is scaled, you can add your name to the design using the text tool. This is the last step in preparing your design to be printed. Overall, this project was successful in teaching the basics of AutoCAD. I was exposed to a new software and have a general idea of how to use it. AutoCAD is fairly intuitive for a new user and is easy to learn. We learned the basic functions from drawing in model space and a few techniques to speed the process along. We also learned how to import and scale a background image and blocks which were downloaded from the internet. The model was then taken to Paperspace and scaled and prepared to be printed. Thank you for watching my presentation on our AutoCAD project, and be sure to check back for future design software projects.